All right, I recorded some stuff with my GoPro, and I'm just gonna go ahead and hit start so we can get this puppy over with. It's very late. Here we're moving really fast. This is an unsafe speed for unboxing a console. We're gonna go over the actual instructions from the Avid website. There it is, some more really blurry because I have no idea how to use my GoPro, and we're just kind of going over each of the things. You can pause and look at the individual stuff. I'll try and figure out a way to record that better. And yeah, here we go. We're gonna get into it. Don't mess up those ribbon cables. They say if you mess it up, just call tech support. So don't really get a do-over if you botch it. And yeah, some more blurry words. Lovely little close-up of the instructions, and at some point we'll be done with the instructions. Holy cow, I do a lot of these. I'm so sorry. But yeah, we'll go over it. Sorry for the mess in the background. Again, it's late, and I'm not very experienced and cleaned up, but we'll get there, and that's all right. Anyways, let's start by unplugging the back of the console. Look at that, both power supplies. I'm gonna put down some gaff tape. That little board behind the console actually custom cut to fit over there, so we can put stuff on it. Pretty rad. You see some feet in kind of the background. That's people trying to talk to me, and I'm just trying to unscrew this thing and watch Voyager while I do it. It's also got this GoPro kind of in my way, so it's a super fun project. Pull the fader caps off. Speed that up. Wonderful. Pull this puppy out. It has this fun little button in the corner that lifts up the module just a little bit so you can get your finger in there. And these modules are plugged in with power and a little cat cable. And pretty simple. Set that puppy off to the side. Get a little bit of gaff tape on the edge. And that's just so we can protect the paint. I'm going to put this thing upside down. You'll notice I'm going to point at the little button that raises it. There it is. It raises the module for you to be able to grab it. Just going to put some tape over that. Just an added little protecting the paint. And I'm putting this thing upside down in there because the faders themselves still stick up past the surface. I don't want to just set it on a table and start pounding away with a screwdriver. We'll get to that, but I just want to keep some of the stress off of the fader rails. So go ahead and speed up the unscrewing process. There it goes. And faster than a drill this way. Spin that puppy around. You got I think the instructions said 17 screws or something holding this thing together. I didn't really count. Doesn't really matter. What matters is not pulling out too many screws. I'll show you in a second. There's some stuff on the side that you don't want to unscrew because it'll just fall apart on you. Better just to pull the whole deal out one shot. So I'm going to set that on my handy dandy gaff tape custom board there. You can see the guts, and there's a couple more screws. That's for this retainer. It's like half of the box. It's kind of a fun design. Thanks, Avid. And spin that puppy around, get the other screws in the back that are holding it on. I'll even point at it. Yep. And nope, naughty, don't do that one. Just leave it alone. Just the 3 that are holding it on. I had this, the hoodie I'm wearing in this video, I bought from the company store, and I gotta tell you, it's the worst clothing decision I think I've ever made. This little tape's holding down the ribbon cable, and you're supposed to pull that tape up. I used my knife because my fingernail wasn't getting in there. If you're nice and gentle with stuff, it typically works out. Put that thing off to the side. I forget half of them anyway, so I put it back together. And these little ribbon cables have the tiniest little clip that you're supposed to use your fingernail and lift up per the instructions. There it is. There's one, and pop, there's the other one. Yep, we're gonna pull that puppy out. We're gonna pull this other puppy out. This is the don't forget the end there. Awesome. Yeah, you don't want to mess those up. Get those last few screws that I forgot on that part. Boom, 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 and then we can lift this whole sort of frame off of it. Kind of expose more of the guts. Gonna pull those little foam blocks out. Unplug all the faders from the board, and you can see the two screws holding the fader itself in. Don't forget to support it on the back as you unscrew it. You just see me do. There you go. Push gently, just enough to keep that screw coming out. Yeah, that hoodie sucks. Not a fan, but it was solely my purchase, and there's many other better hoodies on the website. I like a zippered hoodie. I also like to label the faders, even though these are fairly universal devices. I don't think it really matters. On our other console, I didn't label half of them, and it came out just fine. And away we go, me and my awful hoodie. Yeah, it's just I like a zippered hoodie, not like a pullover or a sweatshirt. I don't know what you call it, a hoodie or a sweatshirt, or where the difference really lies. But for me, if it's got a zipper, it's a hoodie, and I like it. And notice all these orange Phillips head screws. You don't want any leftovers. It's not an IKEA chair. This is a very expensive piece of equipment. Want to make sure we take care of it. Make sure everything goes back where it's supposed to go. Set that puppy off to the side. Get these little like LED channels. Pretty slick stuff. Now that the whole thing is cleared off, I can actually wipe it down good. And once again, we spray onto the cloth and not directly onto any other stuff we want to clean. Yep. So you can see where those LCD glass covers are. They typically get dirty on the back of them and behind them, which is why I'm actually getting this deep into it. The instructions don't really specify anything about getting this deep into it. I just get tired of seeing all that dirt after I wipe a desk down. So a little piece of gaff spike tape takes care of that. Really no need to soak the thing. You can't get a Q-tip in there reliably anyways. It's hard to wipe. That junk is recessed. Now we got the exposed, I guess they're OLEDs or LCD, whatever. They're the channel strip displays. I'm going to make sure we're super gentle with that and easy going. And yeah, protect that puppy. You don't want to bang them around, scratch them up, break them off, stuff like that. Put these little guys back on there. I just wipe them down a little bit. They're usually pretty clean. It's just when I flip the thing over, there's no other secure method of securing those, and they just fall off. So I just take them off, set them to the side. Wiggle everything so it settles on down. And then the orange tip screws you talked about are exactly the same as the other screws that came off of that cover plate in the beginning. Except these ones are painted orange for whatever reason. But the thread count, the length, everything about the screw, the little washer, they're all the same. I would just recommend putting everything back where you found it. Yeah, next step is get that guy out of there and we can start popping faders open. These things are kind of cool. I was surprised at how many instructions there were to clean it, but there are. It's in the back there. You got to get something thin to just kind of get in there and wedge it over the tab behind the motor. Does okay. Yeah. Once you get the technique right, they all just pop open. This was the first one on this desk, so I wasn't like in my groove on this one. So we want to go for the denatured alcohol or absolute ethanol, but the instructions really just say specifically to avoid isopropyl. Isopropyl, I believe, has additives that are supposed to make it poisonous and non-drinkable, even though you don't want to drink any of this stuff anyway. So once we get done with that, we're gonna hit it with the deoxit. Fun stuff. I've done a double wipe down with the alcohol and then let it fully dry before we move anything. And then we want to hit it with this deoxit fader lube, and nice and gentle. They want a diagonal line. I think it was like a crisscross pattern or something like that. And we want to spread it around, and get the other side. I'll douse one end of the Q-tip, and then I'll spin it around and then dry it off with the other side of the Q-tip. Once per side does the trick. And then this is white lithium grease, and this is just specifically for the metal and plastic moving parts. This is more for the feel of it, because when you feel the fader, you're not really feeling the contacts. You're feeling like the slide and the rubber band up on top and the motor, and any pulley or friction that it's gonna have. So I just, a little dab of this stuff. The fact that it's an enclosed unit makes me feel a little bit better about, doing something like a wet lubricant long term. And that stuff spreads out, gets nice and thin, but does okay. Nice and smooth action at the end. Doesn't grab when you give it any sort of like sideways tension. It just smooth operation all the way through. We're getting that tab back, and we satisfyingly click closed, and then we're gonna dab where the motor moves that rubber band, because that thing has like a little movable like sheet that the rubber band kind of goes around and actually rubs, and sometimes that can feel a little bit gritty, so we just want to kind of smooth that puppy out. Yep, move it to the end. Oh, dab. A little some on the other pulley. Just don't want to leave anybody out on this guy. I want to be nice and not overly greasy. Off camera, I wipe it down. Usually how it goes. Before I screw them back into the module. Yeah, instructions say to operate it 10 times up and down, and I just lose count over 5. I just go for a little while. It's fine. Because we'll move it around even more and even more, down the road. So we're gonna pop this fader in, just like how we took it out. We're gonna keep a hand on it, so it doesn't fall off and stuff. I just find that the console hole itself is a conveniently sized place to do some of these more major assemblies. Bless you again. And we're gonna tighten it up as usual. When we put screws into things, we put them in all the way, but then back it up a little bit. And then once all the screws are into that thing, then we tighten them down. That's just to make sure all the holes get together. It's oddly enough, they all went together great, but the whole module, when you put it back into the surface, it just has a hard time. So here I have some snap to grid trickery for getting the foams back in, but just pay attention. Put it all back together. Yep, here we go. Oh, lost gas on that. Yep, all right, we're gonna put that upper floor in there, and then the fiddling took long enough that I needed to make it a time lapse. So sorry about that. What are you gonna do? Speed it up. That's what you're gonna do. So you can pretend that I can do this in 10 times the speed that you can, but it takes me all 10 times to do it once. Once it's in, we're gonna push that little flap down. There it is. Yay. Never mind the phone there and what is playing, but I will say that Schmoyager, or a show that rhymes with Schmoyager, is quite handy at some of these projects, whether it's cable making or repairing or doing some of these deep dives into consoles or equipment. Just helps. Yep, I'm gonna put all these screws in as usual. Yeah, put them all in first and then tighten them all down. And make sure that tape gets back on there. I will say that I have forgotten the tape quite a few times. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. But you do want to do your best. We're gonna put all these screws back on with a little bit of Schmoiger playing on the side screen, or the side screen that way. There we go. And sexy little module. Take our tape off. Yeah, you can kind of see the little button that holds it up. And make sure put our cat cable and our power cable back on. We want to settle her in, and then it takes a little bit of wiggling to get all the holes to line up. I don't know. The surface frame itself is just a little bit out of square, but whatever it is, you're able to make it work. Just be super careful because they do strip out, or they can strip out those screws, which makes you look really stupid if they do strip out. All right, we're gonna put the fader caps back on with a little bit of editing trickery. Just gonna sort of wipe everything on. Wonderful. Nice wipe. I'm gonna turn everything on. Plug all that back in. Off camera, obviously there was a little bit more into it, but not too much. Once we got our engine in standby mode, per the instructions, then we need to do a time lapse of it turning on. The actual boot up is a little bit longer than that. This is an active file. This is the last working file from our regular season. So I just use that, and I use the last couple fader input banks if they're not being used. And wiggle, 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 wiggle. Warm them up. Get those extra reps in. And then here we are. We're going to box up the console. And this is about the speed that we do at load out, you know. There it is. It's definitely not reversed or anything like that. And I'm definitely not the one with the worst hoodie. So there you have it. That is one whole Avid S6L 30 as a 24D. Takedown and cleaning of one Vader bank module. Enjoy.